I'm Don Elliott, as I said earlier. Let's talk about the last two. A reference was made a while ago to infill development, and the fact that it's not redevelopment. That's actually very true. They're different issues. But infill development is a major theme in Plan 2035. Why aren't you getting good infill development and redevelopment of infill sites in Prince George's County? Well, everybody wants to make sure that when you do the redevelopment of existing sites, they fit in. I have news for you. If you negotiate every one of those things, you won't get infill redevelopment. You have to come up with standards and requirements, quality standards of how things fit into their living environment. And you can't try to micromanage the design of the building. If you do, you won't get people coming in to build it. And so you need to come up with things that allow you to build it, and then you have to make it easy. I'll say this very plainly. If you want infill development, it can't be harder than greenfield development. It can't be harder than buying raw land and building stuff, because if it is, that's where the money goes, and that's where the developers goes, because that's where the risk is lower. So we've made several recommendations about how we deal with both the political aspects of this and the technical aspects of it. Second theme that I just want you to know we're recommending updates. Corridors, these commercial corridors, some of them in the county, very tired, very disinvested, vacancies, what I would call third-rate retail, things that you wish weren't there, but you mentioned it earlier, they're there and they seem to be staying for a long time. How do you upgrade those over time? Well, it's not one thing, it's a combination of how you do the street frontage. Building design, yes. Are we doing architecture? No. Should you have basic building design so you get the same basic level of quality that some of the other metro counties are getting in this stuff? Yes, you do, and that's our recommendation. Of course, landscaping, parking, and to hark back to what Craig said earlier, wherever Craig is, getting neighborhood protection standards, so that you know in advance, without having to negotiate every time, how the edges of commercial and multifamily next to single family are going to be developed. Now, I want to go back. I'm not going to read through each one of these other than to say there are many other aspects besides the one I've talked about in terms of quality. Auto parking. I know that everybody gets frustrated, but you can't find a parking space exactly where you want it. But the truth is, some of the standards in the Prince George's County Code require too much parking. When you require too much parking, you discourage reinvestment, because they have to use more land for parking that is seldom occupied, that's less land for the building. So we are going to review that. Bicycle parking, bicycle connectivity. How do you do open space set aside? How much open space? And that differs depending on whether it's an urban environment or a suburban or a rural environment when you do new development. Most codes encourage, and your plan calls for, better connectivity, so you can get shorter vehicle trips, more walking trips, more biking trips. So there are new standards that we have suggested for those. Lighting, building design, I've already talked about, and signage. So I want to tell you that as a general practice, when we went through the code, lots of these things were either weak or out of date, and so there are recommendations on those topics.